I'm Nancy King, the property tax queen, and I do other things. And make sure you follow Dale and Company on Instagram, Facebook, and all of those good things. And I am so grateful that they allowed me to be a part of their interview process. I'm so grateful to Brian and Monica. They're always thinking of me, and I'm blessed to have them as business associates. So thank you to Dale and Company. They have a transportation company. They have this beautiful venue where you can have meetings and things of that nature. They are such an awesome power couple and business minded people. So thank you again for allowing me to have this interview in your office.
Hi, I'm Larry Streeter, content creator at Dell and Company Media, and it's a pleasure for us to introduce our first guest, Nancy King. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nancy King, also known as the Property Tax Queen. I have a background in real estate investor. I started school as a administrative assistant, worked my way in corporate America for 25 years, working for Fortune 100 companies in downtown Chicago area, as well as going back to school to receive my bachelor's in business administration along with a minor. While attending school and working downtown, I also started buying property at the age of 24.
Wow. Let's go back to the beginning and explore the origins of Nancy King and discover what were some of the influences as a child that inspired you to go in a direction that got you to where you are today.
Well, we can go back to my childhood. That is a very good question, Larry. The reason why I said that because I wrote a book about myself. It's called, both for my mom and myself, it's called Mama Was a Rolling Stone. It is on Amazon, and I also have a book about property taxes. So the reason why I wrote the book about my mom, it was 16 of us, and I was the baby, so I got to see everyone's flaws and successes. So I believe that's what made me who I am and made me more aggressive in determining that I will be successful. I didn't want to be on public aid, Section 8, so I had a job from the age of 13, bought my first property at 24. So that kind of molded me into who I am and the work ethics that I have. So I started as a real estate investor, working in corporate America, and left corporate America 14 years ago to start property tax business, and then also doing other things. So I call myself kind of like a paralegal as well. I kind of do a couple of things for my clients is in addition to setting up their business. I'm a life coach, a spiritual coach, and I also have my own nonprofit called the Adele and Patricia Foundation. And my motto there is, you're not living if you're not giving.
Okay, now that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean Mama was a Rolling Stone?
So it was 16 of us, and unfortunately, some of my siblings do not know who their father was. And so my mom individually basically raised majority of her children. Her second husband, she basically gave us all his last name, although all of us, except the first five children, had different, most of us had different fathers. And so she was very stern, but had very good work ethics. And when I say work ethics, like no one could be in a house past 6 a.m. You had to be in school. You had to have a job. You had to work. There was no being lazy in mom's house. So she always said, get a job, take care of yourself. No one is responsible for you but you. And I believe that made me a better person. There were some downs, some ups and some downs. Mama was an alcoholic. So the things that she did that was successful, I learned and I gleaned from them. Those things that I didn't see that were successful, I made sure that I didn't do. So yeah, Mama was a Rolling Stone, born in Why Not, Mississippi. She probably saw a lot of strange fruit hanging from the tree. She would have been 97 years old. So her background, being raised in Mississippi, and that hard, stern personality she had rubbed off on her children. And so I wanted to dedicate not only my nonprofit organization, but a book about her and myself and how the stones that were thrown at mama, she made gems. So some of the gems were her children.
So when it comes to the siblings, where did you fit in at? Were you like in the middle or?
Oh, so I was technically raised as the baby. I didn't know there was a number 16 child until I was 19. My mother was tired and she gave away her last child. And technically, my younger brother, because he's now a brother and he's been around us since then, I'm now 50 something. So he literally, from his father and my mother, had about 32 children. So I was raised as technically the baby, but not biologically, number 15.
Okay, interesting. So you were raised as the baby of the group. So what do you think that authority came from? Your gravitation towards being more of a leader. Where do you think that might have come from?
Well, I think my mother was a leader, and I think my relationship with God has really changed me. I was a part of a ministry back in the 90s that really taught us a lot of things about leadership, ministry, the Word of God, family, being a wife, being a mother. And so I think that's what taught me to become who I am when it comes to leadership, authority. But I also think that initially it was God had formed me like this before the foundation of the earth. The Bible says he has formed us before the foundation of the earth. So I believe that was innately in me, even as a child. I was like smart in school, and they would have me tutoring little children. I've always been like leaders around my girlfriends. Like I was the first one to buy a home, helped all my other girlfriends purchase their homes. I helped them with their credit. And so just always helping people. And that's one of the reasons why I had to start my nonprofit, because anyone that knows Nancy always said, Nancy, you're such a giver. And it's just not with people I know, it's people with people that I don't know. So yeah, it just kind of came like that. And the leadership skills just came. And now I'm a part of my chamber. I'm the vice president of Chamber 57. I'm also an ordained minister, a pastor, assistant pastor of my church. And so, as I mentioned earlier, today we were giving out food. Every other Wednesday we give out food. And so I think my lifestyle of giving helped me become who I am, even though I had trials and tribulations with my past relationship, because my book kind of explains some of the husbands that I had and how I would say the trick of the enemy tried to take me out. But it's a story about success and fulfillment and how to keep moving forward and how to not let what others place on you make you bitter and mad and just make that turn the bad thing into a good thing.
Okay, let's elaborate a little bit more about that. So you took a ministry as a child in leadership. Let's give our audience a little input on how, or the importance of having mentorship, at a young age, and maybe pinpoint a time where someone really made an impact in your life.
Well, sometimes people can inspire you or they can trigger you. So there were some things that people said negatively that I wanted to prove them wrong. And one of those people were my mom. And then there were people like my mom who said good things about me that inspired me as well. So there were leaders in ministry along the way. I have a spiritual mother. I had a big sister that I looked up to that inspired me to become who I am today. But I believe, other than just my relationship with God, that has played a major, significant role in who I am. Always going to God saying, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I do better? We have to really look at ourselves and try to find out what is in you that may make you better, or what is in you that may have caused you to have certain things go left and it should have went right, or things going right and it should have went left. So I think my lifestyle of prayer and really seeking God, and then actually working it out, because it does take work. It does take consistency. If you don't have consistency in anything, you have to go to school X amount of years. To learn any trade, it's about consistency. So being consistent is what I would say is one of the main things to make an individual successful, because sometimes you may think, oh, I did it 2 and 3 times, but you got to keep on doing it until you get it right. And then if it's not, hey, it's time to shift. And if you have to shift, guess what? Keep trying, being consistent with it.
All right, awesome. So I think we can all relate to that. And what would you say now, being triggered into the position, what would you say motivated you once you got to a point where, you had proved to yourself and others that you can do it? What do you think kept you going, and what motivates you now today?
Well, I have two boys, 35 and 17, 18 years apart. And they were my motivation, making sure that they didn't have to experience and endure some of the things that I had to when it came to, poverty. We literally, I believe our family started the breakfast lunch program. We all had the free lunch program, but then they started the breakfast lunch program. I remember literally going to school one day, and I was shaking so much that my teacher knew something wasn't right. She took me to the cafeteria to feed me. So I think just growing up in those hard times and remembering that, and having these children, I'm like making sure that they would never have to go through what I went through. And again, just being consistent and making sure that, okay, I'm here now, where can I be in another 5 years? In another 5 years, how can I be a good to myself and also to someone else? Because if you're blessed, you are blessed to be a blessing. So I always wanted to have enough of anything: love, peace, joy, finances, to be able to, of course, receive first and foremost for myself, and then to give to others. I think some people get it wrong and say, oh, okay, it's not about me, it's about other people. Trust me, it is about you. You have to love and be at peace before you can be anything to anyone, because you're just an empty vessel if you're constantly giving and you're not replenishing, renewing, and restoring what you're giving out. So yeah, just wanting to be able to be a blessing to people. And I knew that it took finances. I knew it took consistency. I knew that it took an education. Sometimes not a traditional education, but it took something to make it better.
Yeah. For you, what does consistency look like? For those who feel like they've done everything to succeed but still haven't gotten their breakthrough, that they feel like they deserve. So for you, what does consistency really look like when we all have ups and downs? How do you define consistency?
That is an excellent, excellent question. So consistency to me, let me just give it in my opinion. So consistency to me means that, okay, again, I told you I love to pray. I'm always asking God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to have direction in my life. And so I believe if you're consistent about that, and you're not only just praying and you're listening and then being obedient to what it is. So consistency looks like, okay, being around, like I said earlier, I'm the vice president of our Chamber 57, where we help small businesses grow. Being around that chamber 12 years, and they decided, oh, Nancy, let's make you the vice president. Knowing who to be around, because yeah, you may know some things, but you have to also be around the right people. There's a reason why Jesus had 12 disciples to help him save the world. So having the right people around you, the consistency is, I need to make sure that I'm around the right people in my field, where I want to be, what I want to be successful in, being consistent about being around those people. And that means if you meet with them monthly, weekly, join organizations that have the people that have your clients, that have the people that have the funding that you need, that have the education and the knowledge that you need, that may have a mentorship. Be around those people regularly, because there is a such thing as spirit and energy. So who you around is who you become. So you have to be around those people consistently, weekly, monthly, quarterly, in order to take yourself to the next level.
So on that note, let's get a little bit into your educational background and why did you choose to go down the path you did. And also, did you go to school with the same mindset of being around the right people, forming the right relationships? Or was there a point where you decided, you know what, this isn't working and I need to be around the right people?
I think that's a threefold question, but but let me try to answer it. So I had no clue I was going to be in business, none. I was just going to school. I was the very first person of my 16 siblings to receive a bachelor's degree. I just wanted to succeed and be different from my older siblings who were not successful. And those that were, I wanted to just make sure I was better than them. So I had no clue that I was going into business. I just wanted a degree. I initially went for administrative assistant. And then when the company that I worked for was laying people off, they kept me. And I said, oh my God, I would never go to another position without a degree. So I went back to school at night and got a degree. In addition to that, I said, I'm not just going to depend on one source of income. So all those years I was working in corporate America, I had two jobs. I was working at retail stores and working downtown as well. But then I went into real estate. And so when I did the real estate, I said, this is something that I can learn and help people with. I was, of course, grew up in the south suburbs of the city of Chicago, and the property taxes were high. So I learned how to start helping myself and for my properties and others to lower the property taxes. So that's the one fold question. The second fold question I believe you asked, what was it?
Oh, I asked if you had the same mindset about being around the right people while you were in college.
You know, I did not surround myself with the right people. But I remember one of my brothers, may he rest in peace, I just went to his funeral Saturday. One of my brother's girlfriends, when I was 13 years old, she said to me, Nancy, don't hang around girls who drink and smoke. That's not good for you. And it stuck in my head. So when I went to high school and I saw the girls getting high and smoking and drinking and being with all the boys, I remembered what she said and decided I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be pregnant early. I didn't want to not go to school. I didn't want to be on Section 8. I didn't want to be on public aid. I didn't want to have any government assistance. However, they did pay for my son's birth, but because I worked, I didn't qualify for anything else, any food stamps or any money. So I think that stuck in the back of my head with her voice. And then when I finished high school and went directly to Robert Morris College, I literally, because I was in an honors program, started work when I started school. So I would work one day, go to school next day, go to work one day, go to school next day. And I was with American Medical Association. So the individuals who were around me, the Caucasian employers, they would give me training on etiquette and different things. Even though my mom taught me some things, they were also instrumental in helping me become a better person. So being around corporate America, because some people have jobs and they work downtown, but I know I was in a niche where God had elevated me in different positions where I worked with a lot of executives, CEOs, COO. I worked for the world's largest law firm at the time, and I was the executive assistant to the COO. And being around those people helped me say, I'm going to stay around these type of people, because I know that in order to be successful, you have to be around those different types of individuals. And they exposed me to four and 5 star hotels, private jets, and staying in the Waldorf Astoria and traveling the world. And so those things that I was exposed to helped me want to make sure that when I start my own, that the finances would be there so that I could continue living that type of lifestyle.
So also, you mentioned etiquette. How would you say that taking a course in etiquette helped you, served you while you were in corporate America?
So I didn't take a literally class. I just watched people around me. And one of my bosses at Amico Corporation, now BP, she would sit down and she would talk to me and say, Nancy, this is how you interview others. This is what you look for. And then other individuals along the way would show me different things. My mom was a very, she was a stern individual, but she had a classy way about herself, if I can say the least. So that classiness, even though she could have been called a woman of the street, she technically wasn't. She was a household wife. She just had relationships that actually ended up with children. So my mom taught us etiquette, the way we would talk, the way we would sit, and the things we desired. It was different because even though we grew up poor, we didn't grow up in the ghetto. And so my mom she was extremely, extremely cleanly, and she took very well of her money. And I believe that's where I get some of my finances. When it comes to finances, I believe I get some of that knowledge and wisdom from her because she was very good with the little money that she had to raise so many children. And so, but yeah, I believe that's basically answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. At what point did you decide that you wanted to go into business for yourself?
Well, I can say I was at church. No, was I at church? No. I had received a tax bill, a property tax bill. And I said, oh my God, it still went up. I can imagine for any individuals that did not appeal their property taxes, their taxes went up much higher. So I started doing some research about property taxes and found out that it was a business. Some other individuals were doing it as a business. And so within literally a month, I had a website, my LLC, my S Corp, and my location within a month, just off of a thought saying, hey, if my property taxes went up still and I had an appeal done, even though it went down slightly, it still went up. And I didn't want to see other people lose their homes because their property taxes. As you may or may not know, the state of Illinois in 2023 has the highest foreclosure rate in the nation. Now in 2024, as of a couple of months ago, we're number 2. However, I know strongly that property taxes plays a major role in property in the foreclosure rates because you get a mortgage based on what you can afford. Once the property taxes go up, your mortgage goes up. And most of the time, individuals are not getting raises that can increase $1,000 per month if their mortgage goes up $1,000 per month. So that's where I come in and help people with their property taxes, making sure they have the tax credits or exemptions that they need to make sure that they stay in their home.
So, can you walk us through some of the methods that you utilize to reduce property taxes and give us a little insight on what sets you apart from others?
So I believe what set me as apart is that first and foremost, I didn't raise my hand to this position. I believe God called me to this position, and I just walked it out. Secondly, we look at the characteristics of the property to make sure that there's any erroneous information such as square footage, the type of home you have, brick, frame, bathrooms, the number of bathrooms, And then we also look, of course, at the values in the areas to make sure that there's not a lack of uniformity that may cause your property to be higher than the other individuals in the area with the same classification, same square footage, same within a 2 to 3 mile radius. So we kind of look through that a little bit more detail than using what the so-called county utilize. They have a system that they give you to utilize, but we just literally hand and like manually go through, because I have looked through where the county said these are the comparables, or the ones that may or may not be comparative to the client. But then when we did our manual, we found a lot more. So I think the more hands-on personal approach makes our company a lot better in fighting property taxes and reducing it. And then the average individual does not know about all the property tax exemptions. So most people don't know about the property deferral program, where if you're over 65 years old, you don't have to pay up any property taxes up to $7,500. Most people don't know about the disability exemption. If you're disabled, you can get a property tax exemption. And then the disabled veteran. If you're a disabled veteran and your DD 214 states that you're 70% or more qualified for disability, you don't have to pay property taxes. So those are other additional exemptions other than homeowners, seniors exemptions, senior freeze. Those are other additional exemptions that the average individual may or may not be aware of. So
what are the most common mistakes that property owners make in overpaying for taxes, and how do you help address that?
well, I think one of the most common mistake is what you don't know will hurt you. And that, I think, is the biggest lie that have been around, about 30, 40 years. What you don't know won't hurt. No. And the other one is sticks and stones. Stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Those are the two biggest lies that I've ever heard in my life. Words kill. And what you don't know can kill you too. So the average person think, well, I got my exemptions and they're good. They don't know that you can literally appeal your assessment, which is what I discussed. Making sure that your square footage is correct. Making sure you're comparable with other properties in your area. They don't know that you can literally appeal your property assessment. And if they do know that you can appeal your property assessment, sometimes they only appeal on the triennial year and Cook in the books. I'm sorry, Cook County. He was supposed to laugh at that one. But there is, some individuals think that you can only appeal on the triennial every 3 years. No, you can appeal your property taxes every single year in any state in America.
Nice. So I understand that you work with a wide variety of clients, from private homeowners to commercial and non-for-profit organizations. Do you find your services more impactful for one or the other, or do you think it's pretty even across the board who needs it?
I think it's equally impactful around the board. I've saved millions, probably in this time, maybe over $5 million in property taxes over the past 10 years, maybe more, and I've recouped in actual dollars for some people that were eligible, maybe millions of dollars for property owners, because they were unaware of certain benefits, as I mentioned, exemptions or incorrect square footage, that I was able to adjust and literally get them a check. So the appeal process, I just lowered their property taxes for the following year. As you know, property taxes are always a year behind. And so that process is different from if I find you a refund. So a refund could be $1,000 or more, depending on the client. So one individual was married. Her husband passed. Her husband was receiving 100% disability. He was a disabled veteran. We were able to go back and get 4 years of refunds for property taxes. That was almost $40,000 because she didn't know that she was the spouse of a deceased disabled veteran and she was entitled to not paying property taxes. So unfortunately, the state of Illinois is kind of different in some areas. And I believe Mississippi, a senior, you don't have to pay property taxes, but in certain other areas, you don't have to pay property taxes and seniors. But in the state of Illinois, it's 65 years old and it's a discount. You get a discount with the seniors exemption. You get a discount with the senior freeze. You can get both of those discounts. And as I mentioned earlier, the senior deferral, where they defer up to $7,500 on your property taxes, and you don't have to worry about paying them until the property is sold or the person dies, and then the family members who has the rights to the property can then pay it off when the person is deceased.
So let's help our listeners understand some of the significant challenges in the industry today and how they can kind of stay ahead.
So this is the south suburbs that we're in of the state of Illinois. And this year was the most unprecedented increases in history. I've been doing property taxes over 20-something years. And I've noticed that this year the triennial reassessment has increased and doubled many property owners. And now in Chicago, it's doing the same thing. I believe Rahm Emanuel spoke about it in 2016 that property taxes in Chicago would be doubling. So I think the overall property tax system has to be overhauled. The overall property tax system in the state of Illinois needs to be overhauled. There should not be the property owners' burden on the school system, the libraries, the pension, and all of that. All this other revenue that's coming in the state of Illinois should justify homeowners having lower property taxes. We pay some of the 10 highest property taxes in the nation. Income tax, sales tax, food tax, liquor tax, cigarette tax, your property tax, of course. If you look at your cell phone bill tax, any type of light, gas, water bill, the state of Illinois, the taxes is so much higher than any other state. Top 3, if you look at the Tax Policy Center, which outlines all the taxes for the U.S., we're always 1, 2, or 3 in the highest property taxes. So to stay ahead, appeal. Write to the governor. Let them know, hey, people are losing their homes because of high property taxes. That should not be the case. There should be some type of maximum amount that they can raise their property taxes. People are buying their dream homes. They can't stay in their dream homes because the mortgage has gone up. So if you buy a home, there should be like a limit or a cap on how much a property tax can go up, because when that lender looks at that person's financial stability, that's what they can qualify for. If next year they don't qualify because the property taxes are higher, there should be some type of cap. If I purchase my home, okay, don't let my property taxes go up for the next 3 years. And if so, then after that, give it there should be like a 3 to 5% cap on property taxes. You shouldn't be paying $8,000 in property taxes, and the next year is $11,000. That's crazy. And it's not just Cook County or Crook County. Will County is going up. All my clients, it's like a magical number. They want everyone to go up $1,000. So in 5 years, your property taxes have gone up $5,000. It's not making sense in the state of Illinois. Someone has to be held accountable. Politicians, school districts, levies that they use to say, okay, this is what we need. There's no checks and balances for this. There needs to be a true overall property tax overhaul for the state of Illinois when it comes to property taxes.
Oh, wow. Sounds like you should be running for office. So let's help our listeners get a hold of you and possibly get your assistance with helping with their property taxes. Where can they find you?
Oh, great. So I'm going to give both the information because the Adele and Patricia Foundation, we like to do some seminars. We want to do a major seminar, but it costs money. So if you want to donate to the Adele Foundation seminars to just get the word out about property taxes, and we can get a big venue, it's www.theadell-foundation.org. That's theadell-foundation.org. That's our nonprofit where we feed people. We have a FDIC Money Smart program. We have a youth program, senior program. We have a nutrition program. So that's the giving side for me. Also, and that's also being led not only in Illinois, but in Georgia and Florida and Texas as well. The for-profit, the Property Tax Reduction Service, PTRS Reduction Service, is www.ptreduction.com. That's ptreduction.com. You can click on a complete analysis, and we'll contact you to let you know what we can do. But again, if you don't contact us, appeal yourself. You can appeal yourself. But if you don't have the knowledge, call us. You can also reach us at 708-986-5301. That's 708-986-5301.
Okay, before I let you go, I do want to share with everyone that you do have a book on Amazon. Let's let them know where they can find that at and a little bit more about what that's about.
Okay, so the book is called Dollars and Deception, The Untold Truth About Property Taxes. It is on Amazon, and it's it's basically a do-it-yourself along with the knowledge that I basically spoke about concerning property taxes and the myths about it. If you appeal, they're going to go back up on your property taxes. It's the politicians, there's nothing you can do about it. So there's high level and some detailed information about property taxes in addition to step-by-steps on how to appeal your own property taxes, not just in the state of Illinois, but basically where you can go any state and try to find the county to appeal.